When dinner time gets near,
You can make it, you can make it.
and your wife has made it clear,
You can make it, you can make it.
it's your turn to cook, my dear.
You can make it, you can make it.
You have no need to fear.
You can make it, you can make it.
Make the dinner feed your spouse, bring peace into your house. You can make it. If you're lucky, she will say,
We will make it, we will make it.
life will be okay. Life will be okay. You can make it.
Welcome to another edition of You Can Make It. Today I'm going to make a favorite of mine from my childhood, Salisbury steak. When my mother used to take me downtown to the Woolworth's lunch counter, that is what I'd order. But I'm going to make a substantially better version, something that's easy, flavorful, and so good on a cold winter's day. As with most of our recipes, we're going to start with a copious quantity of wine taken internally. And now we're going to start making the steaks. To make the steaks, you start off with 700 grams or 1.5 pounds of ground beef. Lean ground beef is better. Then you're going to throw in 3/4 of a cup or 175 milliliters of dried breadcrumbs. And then 3/4 of a cup of finely chopped onion. It's 175 milliliters again. Then 15 milliliters or a tablespoon of Worcester sauce. Some of you say Worcestershire, but I believe it's supposed to be Worcester. Then I take 1 egg and just beat it up a little bit with a fork, and that goes in. And then just about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, not too much. You don't want it too salty. Worcester sauce has already got a lot in it. And a good healthy grating of fresh ground pepper. Now that I've got all the ingredients in a bowl, it's just a matter of mixing them up, and I'm afraid there's nothing that works for mixing up ground beef quite like your hands. So I've washed them well, and just make sure you toss everything together to get a real good mix. Okay. Once the beef is all mixed up, you got to form it into your steak shape. The traditional shape for a Salisbury steak is sort of oval. And a word of warning, the steak's going to shrink and get thicker when you cook it. So you want to press it out quite thin to about 1/2 inch. Now that I've got all 4 patties formed, you'll note that they're not perfect. If you're doing homemade stuff, don't be fanatical about getting the exact shape and the exact right thickness. It's homemade. You want people to know it was homemade and didn't come out of the frozen food section at the store. Now, one of the best things about doing Salisbury steak is you can go this far and just put it in the fridge for up to a day or two even. So you only have to do a little bit just before you start serving the meal. So this is going to rest till we get closer to dinner time, and we'll show you how to make the gravy and cook the steak at that time. Okay, we're about 25 or 30 minutes before supper, and it's time to start cooking our Salisbury steaks. I've preheated a non-stick electric fry pan to a little over 400 degrees, and I've sprayed it with some vegetable oil before I preheated it, because although it won't stick, you need that little bit of oil to help it brown. You can also do it on top of the stove by putting a frying pan over high heat and putting a bit of vegetable oil in it. Just so long as it's nice and hot so your steaks don't stick. So we're just going to throw our Salisbury steaks in the frying pan. And at this point we're not really trying to cook them, it's just really important to brown them on both sides. It'll take about 2 minutes a side at this temperature. It's been a couple of 3 minutes, and we'll just turn one of these over and see if they're nice and brown yet. Oh yeah, they are. That's looking good. And we'll flip them all over. And you notice how they thickened up because the beef tends to shrink as it cooks. And we want to give it just a couple more minutes on the other side to get it that browned on both sides. They've had a couple of 3 minutes on this side, and I had a peek, and sure enough, they're browned on the other side too. And we just want to take them off the heat and put them on a plate. Then we want to turn the heat down to about what would be medium or medium high on the stove, but about 350 degrees on the electric fry pan. And what we're going to do then is we're going to toss in 2 tablespoons or 15 milliliters of butter or margarine, and we'll just let that melt and start to foam up a bit. Okay. Once you've got the butter melted, you want to let the heat come up until you just start to see a bit of foaming going around like that. Then we're going to throw in the half of an onion that we sliced up into thin strips, a cup of coarsely chopped mushrooms, and 1 clove of garlic finely chopped. And we're going to take the next 5 to 10 minutes to just get these to be soft and maybe a little color on them. It's been 6 or 7 minutes and the onions are just getting soft and starting to get a little bit of color. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take 2 tablespoons or 25 milliliters of flour and 1 milliliter or a little over 1/4 of a teaspoon of thyme, and we're going to sprinkle it all over the fry pan. And then we're going to continue to stir to pick up the fat in the flour and to try and get a bit more color on this. It'll take another 3 or 4 minutes, maybe even 5, to get the color on it. But you see how the flour just sticks to the onions and the mushrooms, and we're going to keep stirring it constantly now for the next few minutes. We're just about a minute or so later, and it's come to a nice boil and is starting to thicken up. Now I'm going to add my secret ingredient, which I hate to really destroy all the gourmets out there, is a tablespoon of ketchup. I find that a tablespoon of ketchup just has a bit of vinegar and sweet in it that gives an unusual taste, and a tablespoon you don't really taste the ketchup. So I'm going to mix that tablespoon of ketchup in, keeping it at a boil. There we go, and the gravy's looking good. Now, we have to finish cooking the steaks because we've just browned them. So I'm going to turn the heat down to just above about 250 degrees, which is just above a simmer. If you're doing it on the stove, it'll be low heat to a simmer. And I'm going to put the steaks back in the liquid. And we're going to simmer it for at least 10 minutes. You can go a bit longer if you just want to keep it warm. And just make sure you throw all those juices in there, tasty. And after that, it will be ready to serve. I actually waited about 50 minutes longer because it seems to me that electric fry pans just take a bit longer to cook things. And it looks like our Salisbury steaks are nicely done. We'll just put them on a platter. And we're going to spoon that wonderful sauce that comes out of a Salisbury steak over the top of them. Mushroom gravy. Nothing better in the world. Even for a guy like me who isn't that fond of mushrooms. Now, what we have to do, of course, is take a taste, just make sure they're okay. So I'll just cut a little bit off the end of one of them. Oh, that looks delicious. Hot, rich onions, mushrooms. What could you want more? This is a great dish that's wonderful anytime. And the best part is you can make it. Cheers.
When dinner time gets
You
near
can make it, you can make it.
and your wife has made it clear,
You can make it, you can make it.
it's your turn to cook, my dear.
You can make it, you can make it.
You have no need to fear.
You can make it, you can make it.
Make the dinner feed your spouse, bring peace into your house. You can make it. If you're lucky, she will say,
We will make it, we will make it.
and life will be okay. Life will be okay. You can make it.